Talk radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. How you doing? How you doing? All right. That's it. We're kicking off another week here on Fade to Black. Today is Monday, January 21st, 2019. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. Yeah, this is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planets. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Yeah, you can see. Can you see how I'm doing? It's cold. Got my jacket on. That's right. I've got my Infinite Empire t-shirt on. A couple t-shirts on underneath it. Feel pretty good. I'm good. It's not that cold. I mean, it's cold. You know, you can feel, it's not, it's the opposite of warm right now in the bunker. But it's all good. It is all good. How you doing? What a great week we have got lined up in front of us. And coming on the back end of this, next week, oh, man. Woo! Yeah, it's all good around here. It is all good. Tonight, been waiting for this show for a very long time. We have very special guest, Rabbi Ariel Bar Zadok is here tonight. And we are going to discuss ancient aliens, the Torah, Genesis, right? Going to talk a little Jesus, a little Jesus. Yeah. And maybe some dragons. Yeah, we're going to do it all tonight. E.T., aliens. It is going to be absolutely amazing. He's been on Ancient Aliens. He's also appeared at Alien Con, and he has the knowledge. He's such a cool dude, too, as well. Can I say that about a rabbi? He's a cool dude, but he is. He's very, very, very cool, and I know that all of you have checked him out over the years and just went, wow, right? Well, tonight he is here. And in our fabulous Fade to Black tradition, we're just going to have that open-ended conversation. And with him, what is so great, when you have on, a scholar, a religious scholar, like Rabbi, the conversation can go anywhere. And it usually does on Fade to Black. But with him, we're going to be able to do just that. You want a little time travel and the Torah? We could probably get that into. So we're going to have a very, very fun time tonight. So get ready for that. And then tomorrow night is a very special event because back with us is John Burroughs. And what we are going to do tonight, or tomorrow night, is the final word, hopefully, on Rendlesham. That's it. We're going to close the book. There is a lot of things that are happening, a lot of new developments and some other things involved with Rendlesham. And some of that we will be able to discuss tomorrow night openly. Some of it we will not, and you will find out. Well, I'm going to ask the questions, of course. But there is a lot of stuff going around right now about Rendlesham. And, you know, sometimes you've just got to pump the brakes on it. You know, John Burroughs, who I consider a friend, he is also a co-host here on KGRA. He's got his show with Linda Moulton Howe called Phenomenon. And so we work together. But he is a very, very, very smart guy. He was also at Rendlesham, okay? And he remembers things. And it is the most important point when you listen to others out there talk about it or do research or, you know, theories and whatever. You weren't there. Well, John was. And so that's what we're going to do tomorrow night. We are going to put it all on the table when it comes to Rendlesham. Wednesday night, Paola Harris. She is back, and we are going to talk about whistleblowers. We're going to do that. We're going to talk about ufology around the world. We're going to talk about the ET question in South America. It's going to be a very packed show with Miss Harris, and that will be Wednesday night. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. A little note, little public service message. We're getting really close. Didn't quite get the new phone system installed today and finished. I'm going to say we're 85% there. Last week, we were exactly 50%. So today, we are close. We are so close. Oh, man. And we've got new phone numbers, too. And that's part of the drag. So I'm hoping that our old phone numbers will be finished and ported over. Somehow we'll be able to finagle that for Thursday night. May not happen. May not happen. We may, just for the ease of things, just run with the phone numbers that we've been given. And that there's that part of it, too, as well. So that's it. That's the update there. We should be ready, though. I think Thursday night we should be completely squared away. And while you are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com right now, especially if you're new to the show, follow us on all of social media, on Stellar, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Everything is right there, JimmyChurchRadio.com. Click, follow, like, and subscribe. And, of course, Twitter is at JChurchRadio. At JChurchRadio. Oh, everybody wants to hear about Einstein. Oh, mini Einstein. He might be in Rita's studio. He's not in here with me. Rita, if you're listening, if you want to bring in Einstein right now, I'll show him everybody. I'll show him to everybody on the Bunker Cam. He's amazing. His name is Outlander. And more on that in just a bit. Okay, let's see. Also, email throughout the show is Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. We've got 2 chat rooms, one over at Spreaker. You can jump in there if you'd like to do that. We've got one at KGRA, The Planet. You can go and chat over there. And, of course, at JChurchRadio is Twitter. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. If you have any questions or comments for the rabbi or myself during the show tonight, use hashtag F2BQ. All right? Show the skull. Show the skull. Mini Einstein. Who dat? Okay. That's from Sarah. Okay. All right. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the entrance. Oh, here comes Einstein. Oh, you're gonna make me reach for Einstein? Here, give me his little booty pillow too as well. I gotta show that off. And, wow, Rita spoke. Did you guys hear that? Here he is. There's Einstein. That's Outlander. Look at that. That's Outlander. And this is the deal. This is a perfect copy of Einstein. And you can tell for a couple of things. One, he sits like this. He's got this little notch. And then he sits on this little pillow, so he sits upright, right? So he's got a little pillow that he sits on. And then, so Einstein has a couple of interesting things. We posted a bunch of pictures of him today, of the real Einstein. But see this hole right there? And it goes through to this side. There's one on this side, too, as well. That's where they put rope, and they held him up. And so this is an exact copy of Einstein. So let me hold that up. Look at that. And the red in this is ruby. So there you go. Look at that. Is he cool? Look at him face on. Look at that. That is heavy. You know, quartz. Quartz is like half this weight. I don't have all of the skulls were taken out of the bunker, so I don't have any in here right now. But this guy, he's unbelievable. So there you go. There's Einstein. Or that's his name is Outlander. Okay, man, my arms are tired. So I did post up earlier today some pictures of myself with Einstein. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't do that in Twitter. Okay, so check this out. You want to see how big Einstein is? Here is Einstein. I'm just going to do this really quick for everybody. Boom, done. This is the real Einstein. And the unbelievable part of this is, I'll post this one. This will give you an idea. Look at that. All right, so go and look at that in Twitter. Okay, remember, I'm 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. And so look at me and then look at Einstein. He is nearly as wide as my chest, right? I mean, he's huge. I cannot put into words the weight and the size and the power and the energy that is with Einstein. Not many people get to touch Einstein, let alone hold him. And I understand that. I respect what's going on there, but I did have the opportunity yesterday to do a little private hangout with Einstein, and there you go. He weighs 38 pounds, and that doesn't even sound like much when you think about it. He's heavy, and he has got energy that I can't even explain. Very cool guy, very happy guy. I think he's a very funny guy. He's got a serious look to him, but there's something about him that says it's okay to hang out and do your thing. So I want to thank Carolyn Ford and, of course, Patricia over at the Crystal Matrix. It was a great event last night. It happened during the Wolf Blood Moon, too, right? And we got to see that during the ceremony. Of course, Lisa Frist was there. I sat next to Lucinda, too. Lucinda was to my right, and there were some Fader knots there, and that made it really, really special to hang out with everybody. But it was a good ceremony. And Einstein is, you can't help but sit and just stare. You know, there's just something, that is a powerful piece of crystal. Just absolutely full of knowledge and wisdom. You can just tell, you know, and you just wonder. He's so big, and if you look at, you guys, where'd you get these pics? That's cool. Oh, where'd you get that? All right. Enough of that. What I was going to say was the energy, right, that is coming off of him, and you're sitting there, you feel it. It's a bizarre. It's really bizarre, and it's a positive thing. It's positive. So anyway, thank you again, to Patricia and Carolyn Ford, and Ron was amazing last night, too, as well. Okay. All right. Okay, enough of that. I'm off of it. Let's get to the breaking news. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about tonight. Although I don't do sports anymore, I left that part of my life behind me 10 years ago, 8 years ago. But it's the Rams and the Patriots in Super Bowl number 53. And there you go. Two pretty good games yesterday. Both went into overtime. So it is the Rams. Los Angeles, by the way, does have a football team. I think we have two. The rumors are here in Los Angeles that we actually have two football teams. The Chargers of San Diego are now the Chargers of Los Angeles. And the Rams are up here. And so there you go. Rams made it. Patriots are back again. And that is the Super Bowl. Another story came out today that is very important. I don't want to get into this. You may have caught this. And it's this, that the gap between the super rich and the rest of the world has never been wider, with 26 people now owning the same amount of wealth as 3.8 billion people of Earth. That's half of the world, half of that wealth is in the possession of just 26 people. The new report is titled Public Good or Private Wealth, sheds light on the continued accumulation of wealth by the richest, as well as the reverse trend for the poorest half of the world, which grew by 11% poorer last year. During the same period, the assets of those at the top of the wealth pyramid, the billionaires, have skyrocketed, increasing by $900 billion in 2018. Are you ready for this? Or by a whopping $2.5 billion per day. Between 2017 and 2018, a new billionaire was created every 2 days. Think about that. In comparison to the previous year, when only 43 people owned about the same amount as the poorer half of the world in 2018, it took only 26 billionaires to match the wealth of 3.8 billion people. All in all, the financial world has fully recuperated from the devastating economic crisis of 2008, with the number of billionaires having nearly doubled since then. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I want to remind everybody that I will be at the NAMM show this Friday in Anaheim at the Anaheim Convention Center, January 25th. If you're going to be attending NAMM this year, just hit me up on Twitter. I'll be posting where I am and where I will be in real time. So hit me up on Twitter if you're going to be down there at the NAMM show. Okay, I will be there all day Friday. Saturday, I'm over at Coast to Coast AM. And my guest over at Coast to Coast, Carolyn Ford. That's right. I'm going to have Carolyn Ford on. She hasn't been on Coast to Coast since 2010. I was like, okay, that's it. So Carolyn Ford, and then my guest is Eric Von Daniken. And that is my Coast to Coast on Saturday, which is why I am not at the NAMM show on Saturday. I've got Coast to Coast on Saturday. So I'll be at the NAMM show on Friday, Coast to Coast on Saturday. Sunday, I will be recovering from the amount of work that I'm putting in right now. I am just toast. It's all good, though. It's all good. And then coming up next month, I can't believe it is here. It is the 2019 Conscious Life Expo at the LAX Hilton, February 22nd through the 25th. And this year, that's right, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods with Eric Von Daniken. And my panel with Eric will be on Friday night. And that panel will consist of Linda Moulton Howe, Jason Martell, Billy Carson, and our guest tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. Okay, George Norrie's going to be there, Nassim Haramein, Robert Schock, Grant Cameron, Julia Mossbridge, 50 other speakers will be presenting this year. Just click on the Conscious Life banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. Okay, it's very simple. Get your tickets and a full conference schedule right there. After that is Contact in the Desert, and that's out in May 31st through June 3rd in Indian Wells, Palm Springs, California. And then following that is our 2019 Soul Tech Conference, and it is going to be this year over the July 4th weekend at Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado. And what you need to do to get your tickets and info, you've got to go sign up at soultechgathering.com. Okay, we've got pretty much the program is done. We've got all of our speakers finished. We've got one more that we've got to confirm with over the next 24 hours. And once that's done, boom, we will announce all the speakers. And so you must be on the guest list right now. Right now, you've got to go and sign up because you will get first crack at the tickets. It's going to sell out. I already know how many people are on the waiting list. So there you go. All right, soultechgathering.com. All right, now we just posted up on Twitter. There is a video. I don't know if I can retweet it. Can I retweet a retweet? Is it possible to do it? Okay, here is the blue video. Okay, all right, I'm just going to do that. This is a video that was posted up, captured with our new, it posted up, with our new deep blue night vision goggles. Go and check out that video. It's not green. It's not white. No, it is blue. Go and look at that. And this UFO, this object, it curves and moves. It's so funny. People are going, it's a satellite. That ain't a satellite. That's an amazing video, right? And to get our new deep blue, we're the only company that has it. Okay, Hoffman's Optics, the only company that has blue night vision, and it looks absolutely incredible. Totally different experience, right? So there you go. I just posted up the video. Hoffman'sOptics.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It's just $2 a month. And you can also become a Fade or Not over in our membership section on the site. Happy birthday to today, Billy Ocean. Yeah, that's right. The Billy Ocean today is 68 years old. You remember Caribbean Queen? How you used to sing that song to yourself? Such a toe tapper, right? Billy Ocean today is 68 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is Jam Master Jay. 1965 to 2002, shot to death at the age of 37. He's the DJ and producer of Run DMC. On October 30th, 2002, while recording new music at his studio in the Jamaica district of Queens, New York City, Jay was shot and killed by an unknown assailant. There is a new documentary out. It was just released, and it's called Remastered, Who Killed Jam Master Jay. It is a must-watch. It's a must-watch. You've got to check out that documentary, Remastered, Who Killed Jam Master Jay. On this day in history, today in 1976, the Concorde takes off. From London's Heathrow Airport and Orly Airport outside of Paris, the first Concordes with commercial passengers simultaneously take flight on January 21st, 1976. All right, Fade or Fact, here you go. You ready? You sitting down? Check this one out. This is the one you want to whip out. It's pretty good. Boring, Oregon, and Dull, Scotland, boring and dull, have been sister cities since 2012. In 2017, they added Blandshire, Australia, to their League of Extraordinary Communities. That is your Fade or Fact. So, everybody here on the West Coast listening to me right now, have you been to Boring, Oregon? Right? All of our friends over in the UK, Scotland. Have you been to Dull, Scotland? I want to hear from you. And then all of our Fadernauts down under. Have you been to Blandshire, Australia? All right. There you go. There you go. There's our Fader fact. All right. Tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok is with us. We're going to talk about ancient aliens. We're going to talk about the Torah, Genesis. We're going to talk about angels and demons and dragons and E.T., and we're going to get a little Jesus in there, too, as well. We're going to get some Jesus in. It's all going to go down tonight in just a few short minutes. Tomorrow night, John Burroughs, last word on Rendlesham. Wednesday night, Paola Harris is here. Now, with no government shutdown, I started to think about this. With no government shutdown, the parks, the prisons, right, everything is being affected right now. TSA, right? What would happen if we went to the front gates of Area 51 right now and try to crash them? Will there be anybody there on furlough, some non-paid but called in sick, using vacation days guard, who's been there working on a 24-hour shift and is possibly taking a nap, right? Is there gas for the camo dude's Ford F-150s? Who's manning the ground, right? The motion and thermal imaging systems. Who's taking care of all of that back at the base? We already know that there are no first line of defense park rangers out there. That's not going to happen, right? So it seems to me that if there were ever a perfect time to get access to Area 51, it would be right now. Think of it. A couple of more weeks of this stuff, this government shutdown, and we might be able to drive right up to the friggin' cafeteria at Area 51 and have lunch. Well, it would be lunch by vending machines, but we could say that we've done it, right? And you just know that they have the ultimate PX, the ultimate post exchange. So while we're there, we got to get our official Area 51 uniform stuff, right? The Air Force there's got to get their official stuff from somewhere. The cool patches, the pins, the really nice hats. Remember, the camo dudes are probably private security. And although nobody knows for sure who the company actually is, but who is paying the bill, right? Is it the Air Force? Is it the CIA? Once you're on the base, is it then the Air Force security force that takes over? They are responsible, we know, for missile security, defending air bases around the world, and law enforcement on those bases, combat arms, and, of course, handling of the military dogs. So it makes you wonder, back to my point, what we know is that the camo dudes are off base. But if they're not there right now, who's there? Who's manning the front gate? Would the Air Force security force be able to drive off of Area 51 to handle security? Well, probably not, right? They have to stay on the other side of the fence, right? They got to stay on base. And what about all of the mountains and ridges that have been used over the years to observe Area 51 that were shut down with all of those land grab inspections, right? Is that now wide open as well? So I say right now, if this goes on much longer, maybe we should look into what is going on with the security around Area 51. For me, it's only a 5-hour drive from my house. Seriously. And I'm down. I think we should check this out. Area 51 has food replicators. That's good. Who posted that? It's already blasted past me. That's from K28. That's good. That's funny. All right. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok is here. We're going to talk ancient aliens, Genesis, Torah. Oh, yeah. We're going to do all of that tonight. And so what you want to do is follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio and join the conversation at hashtag F2B. Tomorrow night, John Burroughs. Wednesday night, Paola Harris. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back with our guest. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hey folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find Fast Start Diet on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code TALK to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, Fast Start will include their #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. This is Jimmy Church. And whatever your diet plans are, do what I did. Go to faststartdiet.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Tonight, our guest is Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. Tomorrow night, John Burroughs is with us. And then Wednesday night, Paola Harris. Thursday night will be Fader nights, open lines all night long. If we finish the new phone system, that is. We'll have something up and running. We've never been in this kind of panic mode before after so many years of doing open lines. And now we're caught in between phone systems. But, okay, everybody be patient. We will have everything up and running. But tonight, it's Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. He's the rabbi director of the Kosher Torah School. found online at koshertorah.com. He is the author of Aliens, Angels, and Demons and Other Works, and he's a regular guest, of course, on Ancient Aliens. Now, Rabbi Sadok teaches the Ancient Ascent Aliyah School of the Kabbalah, which places emphasis on experimental spirituality. His school welcomes people of all backgrounds who wish to learn about the authentic and the original biblical world outlook. Tonight, we're going to do it all. I pretty much can say that is a guarantee, because we're going to talk about Genesis. We're going to talk, of course, the Old Testament, or pre-Adamic human races, evolved dragons, and we've got to do some angels. And I would like to talk some Jesus, too, as well. Let's do all of this, and we'll throw in some extraterrestrials and get this thing started. It's going to be an amazing night. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. So, Rabbi, I would like to welcome you to Fade to Black, all the way live, by the way, from Paris, France. Welcome to Fade to Black.
Thank you very much.
Now,
good morning, everybody from Paris. Good evening, everybody in the United States.
And it's so exciting to have you here. But before we get the conversation started, you get the first-time guest disclaimer. Okay, so the next time you're on the show, you don't get it, but you're going to get it right now. So let's get that out of the way. So, Rabbi, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, it ends. But we're going to end as friends. There you go. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, let's actually, I'm going to start with probably the most obvious question that I can do with you. Where did the interest start? Did you see a UFO? Did you have some kind of contact experience?
No, I am still in that respect a brand new novice here. I've never actually seen a real UFO. I've had my experiences, but that's something else. Never been contacted, never been to outer space. Scotty has never beamed me up. Never met a Klingon or Vorlon or any of the kind. So my experiences come from good old background of old-time religion, if you will. Like you read in my intro piece and what I do at my Kosher Torah school, I represent a very old system of biblical teachings which have their historical origins in the practices of the biblical prophets. Most people don't recognize or realize what biblical prophecy was all about. I mean, many of us might remember the old comedy sketch by Bill Cosby, Noah and the Lord. Like you hear the doorbell ring, ding dong. It's, the Lord there to try to talk to you. Well, that was not really the way prophecy ever worked. The Bible makes it very clear that in biblical times, those people who wanted to experience the presence of God went literally to a prophet's school, in which a master prophet, kind of like, the Jedi movement out of our Star Wars films and genre,
right,
would train the individual in experiencing different modes of consciousness through expanded meditation. The Bible's very clear about these things. In the book of Judges, they would dance, they would do meditation. The best modern version of this that many might be aware of today, surprisingly, is no longer in Judaism, but is practiced in mystical Islam, called the Sufi movement, called the swirling dervishes. These are the guys that play music, they dance around and around and around to get in a trance. And that's pretty much the way the biblical prophets would practice experiencing the spirit of prophecy. They'd go off into a trance. Sometimes they got it right, sometimes they didn't. That was where false prophecy came from.
Right.
But, that's all a matter of training. And in that respect, people, prophets, men and women alike, has always opened the boat in that respect, became aware of deeper realities, alternate realities that surround us and the entities that dwell therein. Now, the experience which I just described here obviously is not unique to anything within a biblical and or Judaic context. It's been practiced by people of meditative traditions pretty much around the world through history. and everybody gets access to or exposure to whatever is out there, I guess, depending on where the focus of their mind and practices, take them. So in that respect, I mean, these practices are still very much alive and practiced amongst certain segments in the Jewish community through the centuries to this very day. And I had the blessings of God that I had my teachers, my masters, who trained me in Jerusalem to practice these things. Well, something, when you practice things and it's not just academic, you have experiences. And I had my own meditative or spiritual experiences, many of which I've written about and published in my works. And you become aware of reality, a reality greater than just what is around. Now, some people like to take shortcuts to things of this nature, and try to take illegal or illicit drugs, not realizing the extreme negative, harmful effect that these things have on authentic, realistic, spiritual growth. But the reality is still out there. And when you experience these realities, and then you read about the stories that people today are writing about UFO contacts and the like, you sit there, you scratch your head, you go, wait a second, some of this sounds, like awfully familiar. This isn't anything new. These types of experiences have been going on for a very, very, very long time, pretty much since recorded history. And again, not unique to any one culture. It's going on around the world. So when you look at spiritual experiences, and then you look at what we call today ET experiences, put them side by side, and I've done that in my book, Aliens, Angels, and Demons. Again, you just take a step back and you go, wait a second, there's a similarity here that cannot be denied. And then as such, you really got to re-question, number one, what is the real nature of your spiritual experience? And number two, what's the real nature of your UFO experience? But somehow, somewhere, these things are overlapping, and they're not different.
You brought up one of the most amazing points that I think we should be more conscious of, which is today when you hear about channeling or telepathy or contact or anything like that, it's generally brushed off with those out there, but yet it's exactly what was happening with Moses or anybody else in the Bible, where they were communicating with God or with angels or information from the heavens, and it's the exact same thing. They're comfortable with accepting that, but they don't want to think that it could be happening today. Why is that?
Well, I think that's more a matter of prejudice that actually I think modern science is able to really disprove. I think that there is a good amount, a solid amount of valid scientific evidence to show that which we call parapsychological abilities of the mind are valid and are real. And again, the point that you made that I actually didn't, but is very valid as well. All communication in these other realms to these other beings has never been actual or verbal, simply because that's not the nature of communication. It's always been telepathic, mind-to-mind communication. Indeed, this is rather radical. One of the great philosophers of Jewish history, Maimonides, way back when, the 12th century, bringing down from earlier sources, stated that when God himself spoke the Ten Commandments to the children of Israel at Mount Sinai, unlike as was portrayed in our good old Cecil B. DeMille version, which Charlton Heston, the actual passage of information was telepathic. And he bases this on a correct reading of the original Hebrew, where it says the people saw the voice of God. Now, pay attention to words, because words are important. We don't see voices. We hear them. The Bible says they saw it. question is, how did they see?
Right.
It's always understood that they saw within their minds, that they heard a sound, or the voice of the Lord, which in the Bible is referred to as the sound of the great horn, the ram's horn, the shofar, blowing louder and louder, and that in their minds, that sound became words, and those words were etched deep into their minds, their hearts, their souls. I think possibly even into DNA. Anyone can prove that, but that's my opinion. And that was the revelation of the Word of God at Mount Sinai. It was a telepathic event. So when we have these types of experiences, like you said, with channeling and all the rest, yeah, something's coming through. And I believe, again, from a religious point of view, we don't question the validity of these things. We might question, the source, but we don't challenge the reality of the experience itself. And again, there's enough evidence that seems to be scientifically based that, again, is showing us somehow, somewhere, something's coming through. Just a quick second here. I'm also trained in a school of psychology, which was founded by the founder of analytical psychology, Carl Jung. Carl Jung was, a contemporary of Sigmund Freud. He's a big volume, his library of major works. Great stuff for anybody who's a real deep thinker. But Jung was dealing with, psychotic people who, having hallucinations, weird things happening in their heads. And you want to understand, where the heck is all of this stuff coming from? It's not like just people are seeing, purple elephants floating around in their rooms. They're seeing actual signs and symbols that, upon analysis, he could recognize a very profound, deep meaning. And he'd been having some historical background that, from the background of the person and the individual, they had no access to this information. Where the heck is it coming from? How did it get into their heads? And he was able to discover what I call like the back door into the human mind, which he calls the collective unconscious. Somehow, somewhere, all of us human beings are connected mentally, somehow in the deep levels of the unconscious mind. And this is a teaching that's reverberated in religion, whether it be biblical religions or Eastern religions. And again, we see that somehow the concept of a mind-to-mind communication is the universal language. Take this now up to modern times. Go read Philip Corso's book, The Day After Roswell, word which he's talking about those who claim that they actually had communication with those little gray guys.
Right.
And the method of the communication is telepathic. Now you think about this. If we were actually going to make contact, I don't care who, I don't care what, we're not going to speak the same language. For example, right now I'm in Paris, France. I walk down the street, everybody's speaking French, which is horrible because I don't. That's very hard to communicate.
Right.
But if ET lands, what language are we going to speak? All right. All of a sudden, we expect all the aliens are all going to be speaking English. Why? Because we've seen it all over our movies.
Right.
Well, it might not be like that. So if we really want to make contact, what is the best language? Well, based upon the experience that we see literally from thousands of years, cross-culturally around the world, the method and technique of communication is what we call mind-to-mind or telepathic. So by cultivating those elements and aspects of our own innate human abilities, we also cultivate the linguistical opportunities of actually maintaining authentic contact.
I have said, in not in a mocking sense or being cavalier, but I have said before that what do we do when the flying saucer lands on the White House lawn, right? And we all talk about that, but then the stairs. Whoa, that was weird. Okay, the stairs come down, and E.T. looks like Jesus, and he speaks Aramaic, right? What are we going to do?
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
There are very few of us today who actually speak Aramaic. So, yeah, that would be rather cool.
Yeah,
but then again, now hold on a second, Jimmy.
Okay.
This gets really interesting because, as you know, your average Western, especially American Christian, is under the impression, and I might add falsely so, that Jesus is this blonde-haired, blue-eyed Norwegian who's wearing these nice pastel robes, and he's coming down, and he's this nice, soft, frail, loving man. Well, that's not exactly the historical truth of it now, is it? That's something pretty validated. Even in the Christian tradition, you can very well know he was the son of a carpenter, which means that he actually did manual labor, which means that he probably was a rather buff, muscular man. He was a Semite. He was a Jew. And in those days, you did not have many European Jews of, blonde-haired, blue-eyed background. You had Mediterranean, olive complexion, black hair, and brown-eyed. And that would be the image of an actual individual that would have lived in those days. So if the historical Jesus in the flesh were to come back down, whether it be off a flying saucer or off a horse out of heaven, out of Revelations kind of stuff,
right?
I think a lot of people are going to be really shocked that he's not their good old blonde-haired, blue-eyed, good old dashboard Jesus that they've always been expecting. That in itself might be a major culture shock.
What do we're going to head towards a break here in about 5 minutes, but I've got to kind of go to the next obvious question that I need to get out of the way, which is your other rabbi friends that you hang out with. You probably got a secret rabbi restaurant that you guys go to, and that secret pizza place. Yes, right. What do they know? Do they watch Ancient Aliens? Do they ask you these questions? Are these things? Do they alarm the religion out there, or are they okay with it?
Well, are they okay with it? Yes, and the reason is because, above all things, I'm a scholar. My job is to peruse the religious literature and to make it public, and that's what I do. I don't draw conclusions as to what it all means. That's not my job. My job as a scholar is to provide information. That information is readily available in our Hebrew, Aramaic books that are readily available in all the Hebrew bookstores pretty much around the world. So my peers read the same books and study the same material that I do. Difference between us might be with regards to spiritual and or meditative practices. Most of my rabbinic peers are pulpit cleric. They're interested more in that direction. I'm more in the educational field as opposed to having a pulpit. And that may be one difference. But the knowledge is out there. Many of my peers are very well aware of this material. I am not, in that respect, very controversial amongst my peers. I provide information that many of the laymen might not know, but amongst my peers, they read the source materials that I provide. They know it as well as I do. So it's not as radical as many might think. It might not be as widespread in interest because of people's other concerns in their daily lives. But again, from a scholarly point of view, what I bring out is not so, revelatory that only I know this. On the contrary, rabbis know about this stuff and practice this stuff literally for thousands of years.
Do you feel that your beliefs and understanding about the ET question, have they been changed because of Ancient Aliens?
Well, I'll tell you something about the show. I've always liked the show, and I've always been a fan of the show. And I had to admit, I was rather stunned that the show actually had interest in me. I said, I'm just, a rabbi. Why would you be interested in what I have to say? But gosh, judging from fan response, I've been stunned and honored that so many people have expressed interest. And, at the different conferences that we've had, Santa Clarita, Pasadena, Baltimore, now coming up in Los Angeles, I've been very honored that we've had so many, many people who are not only fans of the show. I see this is a point that I made when I was speaking to, the members of Prometheus Productions, those who make the show.
Right.
And I was saying to Kevin Burns, of course, the president there, I said, Kevin, you have not just created here a convention of fans for a television program. You've brought together people who are wanting answers, who are looking for, from my perspective, we would call it a spiritual answer. I said, you've created a movement. People here want to know what's going on in life. This is far bigger than a television program. The reason why Ancient Aliens has been so successful for a dozen years, 12 seasons, isn't because it's just riveting entertainment. It's because it's really addressing issues that people want to know what's really going on. And I might add, that's not a question that's new to our generation.
That's right.
People have been asking this forever. And I think, I don't know, prophetically, if you want to talk like in that type of terms, that we are now at a point in human history that we have global communication, global marketing. Here I am talking to you from Paris, France, on live line, and people around the world listening to your show. This is, for lack of a better word, a miracle that we have these abilities of communication, which didn't exist even a century ago. And here we are now, looking at our ancient past, looking at our present towards the future, and all of a sudden, all of these things are starting to be connected. All of a sudden, these things are starting to make sense. So somehow, somewhere, something is dawning, beginning to happen. Again, you want to look at that in light of prophecy or whatever, whatever. But something is happening. And in that respect, many of my peers are aware. And you have people who are more of the fundamentalist type of religion, who like to cling to old ways. But those old ways, like old things, are fading fast. And, like they say, anybody who doesn't want to jump on the train and, get moving down the tracks is going to be left in the station. Because go back to your scenario, whether that proverbial flying saucer lands on the White House lawn and comes out Claudio, Barada Nicto and all the rest of this jazz. Well, if you're the night before on your pulpit in your synagogue or church or your mosque saying there's no such thing in life in outer space, and the next day the flying saucer lands, well, what do you do then?
What do and we need I've got to take a break right here, but we need a spokesman. Yeah, I don't know who. I don't know who. Maybe it should be you. Maybe I don't know what we do at that moment. Who is going to best represent us? I got a little weird feedback going on. I don't know what that is, everybody. That's strange. That's a first time for Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok, is with us live from Paris, France. Going to take a quick break, continue the conversation when we return. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas. Come join us for the 2019 Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. This year, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods with Eric Von Daniken, and I'll be hosting the panel with Eric. Linda Moulton Howe, Jason Martell, Billy Carson and join George Norrie, Nassim Haramein, Robert Schock, Daniel Brinkley, Grant Cameron, Julia Mossbridge, and another 50 speakers who will be presenting at the 2019 Conscious Life Expo. Just go to ConsciousLifeExpo.com for tickets and a full conference schedule, or click on the CLE banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Reclaim your active lifestyle with Angioprim. Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in your veins and arteries that can cause blockages. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com. Talk to a trained consultant by calling Angioprim toll-free 877-882-7221.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar Zadok is with us. Tomorrow night, John Burroughs is here. Wednesday night, Paola Harris. We're going to talk about whistleblowers and ufology around the world with a focus on South America. But tonight, it is Rabbi Ariel Bar-Zadok. And Rabbi, I wanted to ask you really quickly, though, but you went from a private life to a very, very public life with Ancient Aliens and Alien Con, where you've got thousands of people now that look and go, there he is. You know, how has that transition been for you?
Well, in all due respect, it's not like I'm one of the major guests on the show. I'm not Giorgio or William or any of the big guys, David. I'm just, still a little old rabbi, doing my job and things like that. But, yeah, I have been noticed. I mean, I've actually been stopped in places like Walmart and things like. I once got waved through TSA at the airport because someone recognized me who I was. So, yeah, I guess that's okay. I don't mind it. I try to be nice and respectful to everybody. But, again, my focus isn't on such types of things like popularity. My major focus, like what I do in my school, is I want people to experience the greater reality of the world around us. I don't believe in the validity of all of the divisions, the strife that comes about because of all of our different religious faiths and beliefs. I believe underlying all is the greater experience of our higher humanity, the reality of that which we call God. And I believe that the real key or goal or if you will, salvation for all of us is to kind of wake up and experience and see with our own eyes. Because ultimately, Jimmy, when you and I, as we personally never physically met, and we don't have to, because you and I and literally everyone listening in, we're all part of a greater family. And we can, nod our heads and say, yeah, okay, I agree with that. But when you experience it, it's something much different, much deeper, much more real. And I think that's what the message of religion has always been meant to be, about really just connecting. So when I go to Alien Con and the like, I just try to be me and connect with whoever, wherever wants, to make connection. Last November, we had our recent conference, our first one on the East Coast in Baltimore, and I was asked to give a standalone lecture, based on my book, Aliens, Angels, and Demons. And it was on a Sunday morning. I was up against Giorgio, and Eric Von Daniken was there, and others. And I said, out of the thousands of people there, they're all going to go see, of course, the big guys. I figured who's going to come and see little old me. I was stunned when they had a large size, room packed wall to wall with people who really wanted to hear what the message was. Notice I didn't say wanted to hear what I have to say, because it's not about me. It's not anything personal. It's about what the message is, because I believe that's really what we need to address. So that transcends any individual. That transcends you. It transcends me. And again, if I can be any kind of a conduit to try to get that across, well, hey, I guess that's why I'm here, and that's what it's all about.
The other side of this question, when we talk about ancient aliens or history or contact, Eric Von Daniken, who you just brought up, this is the 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods. Something that, certainly transcended and changed the paradigm, right? There's no question about that. But the other part is, you addressed this earlier. Everybody had these fundamental questions already. And Eric put it out there in the mainstream for us. And we're celebrating, the 50th anniversary this year of Chariots of the Gods. But what goes back to all of this is the Jewish history, the Old Testament, and everything else that ties into Jerusalem. Not only on the religious side, but you can branch it out into all forms of conspiracy and lost history, the Knights Templar or the Temple Mount and biblical artifacts and the Holy Grail. All of this stuff just goes out and the Old Testament is right at the center of all of this. When you look at Chariots of the Gods, do you correlate that history with Contact with Ancient Aliens and biblical history and say, well, you know what, Eric is on point here. There is something that needs to be seriously considered.
Well, you're absolutely right in that respect. And I've made my public statements to Eric, saying, look, I read his book when I was younger, just like everyone else did. Mm-hmm. And you go, ooh and ah. Really cool. But as I grew in knowledge and became a scholar of biblical Hebrew and Aramaic, I recognized there's a big problem. Most people, especially when they come to read the Hebrew Bible in translation, miss very subtle nuance of words and terminologies, which leads, unfortunately, to misunderstandings. And I'll cover one right now. Eric, of course, in the book, postulates that Ezekiel's chariot, the very famous, Merkava vision, Ezekiel chapter 1, was some type of a spaceship. And unfortunately, that's not an accurate reading of the text. Now, what did Ezekiel see? Well, it states very clearly in the original Hebrew, Wahi baruach, which means, behold, I was in the spirit, which means that he was in some kind of a trance. So, for example, Jim, if you and I were to be walking by the river Kabar, we saw this guy sitting there meditating with his, eyes rolled up in his head, looking up into the sky. What the heck he sees, because I don't see anything. That would have been Ezekiel, because what he saw was in, if you will, a parallel reality and not our reality. And this is important. Why? Because this Merkava, this chariot of the god, is where the term comes from, wasn't a type of a spaceship, the likes of which we perceive based upon our, popular, expressions, like it's some kind of a metal, spacecraft. Why would we think entities of a different dimension or far advanced technology would be using such antiquated methods of transportation as a metallic shell, powered by some kind of a nuclear and or similar type of engine? I mean, it really shows our lack of imagination. I think the technology, if it progresses in any way, a million years advanced, might have learned a little something more, especially when we take into consideration mind technology. Can you imagine if we could actually create spacecraft which are telepathically channeled or telepathically able to move? We wouldn't need metallic ships because we wouldn't physically have to go from point A to point B. We'd be able to project our minds from point A to point B. And that actually makes a lot more economic sense. If we want to go and visit Io or Jupiter or any other body out there which the physical environment is so radically hostile to our human form, I mean, it would cost to make a ship to create an environment that we could travel in. That's a pain in the neck and an economic burden. But think if we could just mentally project ourselves. And all of a sudden, material. Hold on one second.
Go ahead.
Follow this train of thought here. Okay.
Sure.
So materialize ourselves in an indigenous form on such a world. So if they're breathing methane or whatever, take a temporary form. Now, some people might refer to this by modern terms like astral projection or some other terms of this nature. Fine. And in that respect, it would be a much more economic way and mean of transportation. Now, somebody would say, yeah, well, that's all well and good, but let's go back to our good old Bible, because we speak of angels coming to earth. They are not appearing out of some type of ship or form. They just appear. Go back to your good old, what we call the Old Testament, our Jewish Bible, and read about the angelic experiences. These guys are just there. And then they disappear. They come and they go. Now, either you got Scotty who's beaming them up and off the Enterprise,
right,
or somehow, somewhere, as is understood in the nature of angels. Big argument in religion. Are angels actually corporeal or not? And it sounds like this is exactly what they are doing. So if that is indeed true, then the technology has already been developed. And in that respect, Ezekiel's chariot is an expression of this higher form of a mental, if you will, or telepathic technology, which means that Ezekiel's, in quote, spaceship was something of a far different type of a technology than what we might think. So Eric is of the opinion that the God of the Bible is just a good old, astronaut wearing some kind of a, helmet and, traveling in a spaceship and the like. Well, we obviously don't look at things in such a limited view. But nonetheless, to ask the questions, that's what Eric did. And yeah, I don't always agree with all of his conclusions, but asking the questions themselves, good gosh, I mean, you got to ask, where on earth did Eric Von Daniken come from? How is it that all of a sudden, after thousands of years, this now happens in our society? And a point, we talked earlier about prophecy, making connections through the collective unconscious and all the rest. Well, a point that I made on Ancient Aliens a number of times. Don't think this type of communication is limited to only religious or spiritual individuals. Good gosh, look at the artists, the musicians, the thinkers that we've had, again, around the world, cross-culturally, throughout history. People have been inspired by something profound and have made great contributions to our civilization. Well, in some little way, you got to include Eric in that number.
You do.
But somehow, somewhere, so I asked him, I said, what motivated you? Kevin Burns, the president of Prometheus, asked the same question. What motivated you? Eric said, it's just somehow, somewhere, something inside. Like eggs them on, if you will. And in that respect, that is this communication, if you will. Somehow, somewhere, something inside us. We come here to Earth as individuals with a purpose, a mission, a destiny, or fate, call it whatever. And in that respect, he's opened up, if you will, a can of worms. So when you go and you open that up, you got to look inside. You got to really see. You got to investigate. And you may agree with things. You may disagree with things. Once the can is open, you can't close it up again. You got to take it to where it takes you.
When it comes to Ezekiel and his vision, I've read that so many times, and I just want to get this thought out the best that I can. He layers and layers, and he starts out very simply, and then you have this description. So you are enabled to build it up in your own mind, layer by layer, too, what he is seeing. And I had always envisioned something like a giant gyroscope. Something like that, something that was spinning, but not necessarily a spaceship, but it was certainly mechanical, and it was an out-of-place mechanism for that time period. That is one of the most fascinating parts about it, but for some reason, religious scholars have always dismissed the fantastic part of what Ezekiel was describing. Was he seeing the future, for instance? I don't know. But it was definitely something that wasn't around him. He wasn't describing anything that he saw every single day. It was something else.
Well, the actual vision of the Merkabah, most people get into the gyroscope type of understanding of things based upon the Hebrew word galgalim or ophanim. But ophanim, it means wheels.
Right.
But the word ophan as wheels does not necessarily indicate the same kind of a wheel that we would see on any kind of a transportation device today, be it a car, airplane, or whatever. It was meant and is understood in a very different way. So you're saying, well, Ezekiel saw something which was rather unique. Well, no, that's not really true. Because what Ezekiel saw was something that people of the prophetic school have always seen and continue to this day to see and experience. That's the thing. And a point that's made is that the nature of the vision changes with the individual's perception. It's a rather quantum experience, the Merkabah is. In that respect, you're recognizing that what you're seeing is, if you will, a transportation of consciousness, which involves the natural forces of the universe and our interactions with them as human souls. So you're getting into a much, much more deeper experience and expression of reality. And yes, Ezekiel was unique in describing it, but Isaiah also had his vision of different, in quote, angels, which he called the seraphim. The seraphim, many referred to as beings of light. Isaiah chapter 6, these are the ones he saw in the temple saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts." But most people, for example, do not understand Hebrew, and they don't recognize that the word seraph doesn't mean one who is burning. That would be so ref. It is seraph, same letters but different vowels. And instead of being burning ones, the word seraphim actually means reptilians. And this goes into the entire race of a reptilian angel who faithfully serve God and act as God's messengers. The Hebrew word angel is malach, and malach actually means messenger. And, this goes and ties then into the serpent in the Garden of Eden. The Nahash was supposedly one of this race who was, acting in the way that he did in rebellion against the divine plan. And, you go on and on with this, and the whole story of Adam and Eve in the garden also has never been understood literally. Adam was never understood to have been an individual guy like you and me. But Adam, the Hebrew word Adam actually means mankind, humanity. And it's not a personal name. You'll never find actually in traditional Hebrew circles anyone named Adam means human being. And in that respect, Adam was considered to be the collective of all human souls. So essentially getting back to Ezekiel, when he is referred to as Ben Adam, son of man, that has become a very profound messianic concept or term, more so in the Christian tradition than the Jewish. But in its original context, this is actually a little extraterrestrial here, the term Ben Adam would better be translated as human, like a human being, most of the derogatory sense. So if you were an extraterrestrial and or an alien, an angel, and you're talking to a human, you'd say like mortal human, Ben Adam.
Right.
Listen, pay attention. It was not some type of aggrandized term of honor and respect. It was kind of the opposite.
Now,
would be like, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to head towards a break, and I want to set up for when we come back. This is going to be a pretty lengthy conversation, and I don't want to let the reptilians go. We've got to circle back to that. But you brought up Noah earlier, and by the way, that was one of Bill Cosby's great Noah. That was one of the best. Is this? In the film Noah, where the Watchers were portrayed as, I'm going to say E.T. There was something going on there, and there was an E.T. connection, and then flying over parallel into the Anunnaki and the Sumerian text. There's a lot of historical stuff going on here. Is there a connection, do you feel, with the way that the Watchers were portrayed in not only in the Bible but in the film, where it felt like that was some off-planet intelligence that was being sent to us?
Well, I'll tell you this: the way that you're talking about the recent film,
yes, the recent
one, correct?
Yes,
they came down, they became rock creatures, if I remember.
Yes.
And I chuckled when I saw that, because that was a rather artistic interpretation of an old way of understanding. The story with the Watchers is real simple. As we know, humanity was becoming corrupted. Well, you had a group of Watchers. These are the entities who serve God, whose job it is to look over humanity. And they pretty much got together and said, you know something, we think God's messing things up. We think we can do a better job. All right, let's go down to earth and surprise God. We'll fix things up and then we'll show him.
Right.
Well, it didn't exactly work out that way. Apparently, how it is understood is that, allow me to use terms that I don't know if anyone really understands, the vibrational energetic field of our physical dimension tends to be very dense. And in that respect, these higher entities had a very hard time adjusting to living in physical form here on Earth. That is what was portrayed in the film of them becoming creatures of rock, meaning that they became physical and dense. And we see the results of that from the book of Genesis, chapter 6. They came down, and all of a sudden, they're taking human wives. Now, think about that for a second. If you and I are going to go to a distant planet, and we're going to see whatever entities that live there, you think you and I are going to be like first looking for a date? Checking out the local social scenes. I don't know what extraterrestrial women look like. I know some of the portrayals in urban legend. But, if they're like, eight-legged octopus or things like that,
probably not going to happen.
My taste.
Right.
Yeah, not my taste. So if these entities are coming down and they're being attracted to human women, you got to ask the question, okay, what's the nature of the attraction? Think about it, Jimmy. If you and I were going to go off to the jungle in Africa, we're going to meet some nice, hot, sexy, orangutans and chimps. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'm going to be joining you on a date. So if these entities come down and they see human women and yet they're attracted to them, what is that saying about them more than it's saying about us? And that brings us into some very profound revelations and insights that has been brought down forever, that there has been, prior to Adam, pre-Adamic human civilizations on Earth that have grown, evolved, and moved off planet. And they are the ones who serve heaven, God, whatever, as the watchers of the younger race on this planet, us. And that is their actual nature. That essentially they are what we call Ishim, which is a type of an angel, which is humanoid, just like us. And that explains a whole lot of things from the Bible.
We need to take a break right here. So let's get this in, and we will pick up right where we are leaving off with the Ishim. And like I said, this is the perfect setup for all of this that we're going to discuss right after the break. Our guest tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar Zadok. I am your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Teppy. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the Lime Scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate Lime Scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Use hashtag F2B for the sandbox. If you want to see what 2,000-3,000 tweets looks like during a broadcast, go over to hashtag F2B and join in on the conversation. It's absolutely amazing to hang out over there. Now, Rabbi, right before the break, where we are talking about the pre-Adamic civilizations, and then we have the Sumerian text, speaking about the Anunnaki, who also left this planet too as well, and you bring up the Ishim. So is there, the reason why I find it so interesting is because this is based on what people wanted to save into the historical record. This wasn't something from fantasy or something that was made up. This is based on their own experiences. Are we talking about the same thing?
Well, I'll tell you this. Zecharia Sitchin and, his whole teaching about the Anunnaki, reading the Sumerian texts. Well, I am not an expert in ancient Sumerian. Aramaic I know, Hebrew I know, but I do know other scholars of Sumerian. And pretty much there is a consensus that Mr. Sitchin's works and interpretations are not accepted in our circles. So I'm not too worried about the Anunnaki or Nibiru or any of the other, lost planets coming down and re-enslaving mankind and the like. However, with that being said, that does not mean that there are not ancient teachings or beliefs about, these ancient ones. Our understanding of these, in quote, ancient ones, like we were mentioning before the break, is not that they are extraterrestrial, but rather pre-Adamic. Essentially, they're not them, they're us. And I think that makes a very significant distinction in Revelation, especially it puts things together. If you remember earlier, we were mentioning about Jerusalem and temple treasures, and you even brought in the Knights Templar and all the rest. Well, there is a lot of these things that are connected literally over centuries. And I might add, going out from Jerusalem to literally around the world. For example, I believe that there is enough archaeological evidence to validate and prove a Hebrew presence here in North America dating back at least 2,000 years. You have the old Ten Commandment stones that were found, etchings in Paleo-Hebrew, that's the original biblical Hebrew, found in the mountains of my old home state in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. You find all of these things in the old Indian burial mounds and the like. Now, this is important to understand because when we look today at North America, we think of it as what was once considered the New World. Well, it was always known. You find records to this great land across the oceans in some of the most ancient Hebraic rabbinic texts dating back 2,000 years. And it was nothing new in those days as well, because the teachings of this ancient land go back, I don't even know when original records were there. Now, what's important to understand about those references is that, of course, we know from the Greek tradition, from Plato, is mentioned in Timaeus, of course, of Atlantis. Well, it's believed and understood that North America actually was Atlantis. And Atlantis, by modern name, was the civilization of these pre-Adamites who existed here on Earth prior to the coming of Adam and picking up in our story in Genesis. And that it was this knowledge and awareness from biblical sources that the ancient Hebrews knew of this great land, and that is why they, in quote, sought it out in ancient times. And this, of course, plays right into the understandings in the Latter-day Saints teachings, the Mormon teachings, that you find in the Book of Mormon about, a Hebraic tribe from Judah who came and, became, I think it was the Lamanites or whatever. My Book of Mormon is not as good as it should be, but yeah, these teachings that Joseph Smith enshrined in his religion had some historical antecedents in the day, and again, it goes back to ancient understandings of things. So our understanding of the ancient world is very, very different from what most people think. But no, it did not include an understanding, as is popularly portrayed today, of the Anunnaki, coming back and, taking us, creating us to be a slave race or anything of the kind. We don't see that as an accurate reading of the Sumerian record. Well, of course, can believe whatever they want. We don't have to have doctrinal, debates and the like. But from a scholarly point of view, we have a different understanding of it.
And from a scholarly point of view, we've got another historical record that references a pre-Adamite or possibly Atlantis connection, and that is the builder's text in Edfu in Egypt, where they go back way far to Zep-Tepi. And there, in their references, they talk about a great flood. They talk about a land that went into the sea. And this obviously is something that Plato may have gotten his information from. We clearly don't know, but it is also suggesting that their knowledge was taught to them from a much older civilization that quite possibly had high technology.
Well, now you're playing back into the old Torah teachings. Because, again, Plato, he claims that, his understanding of this came originally from the priests of where? Egypt. Ancient Egypt. Gosh, wasn't there some kind of a Hebrew connection to ancient Egypt?
I
remember that reading about that somewhere.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Moses, the children of Israel, coming out of Egypt. Gee whiz. This is all a coincidence, isn't it? Wink, wink.
Right.
Of course not. This is exactly the point. A point that's made by it was a very great Italian rabbi, believe it or not, who wrote a book in French, available in English, called Israel and Humanity, by a rabbi, Eli Ben-Mosek, if I'm not mistaken. It's available in English, part of the Classics of Western Spirituality series. Get on Amazon. Great, profound book, wherein which this rabbi 150 years ago wrote to show the connection between a lot of the ancient Egyptian practices and what was later embraced and adopted in the Torah tradition. I'll give you a radical one most people don't realize. Circumcision. Everybody reads in the Bible how God commanded Abraham to circumcise, and circumcision today is the sign of religious affiliation for both Jews and Muslims around the world. Most people do not know that circumcision started as an Egyptian practice. Now, what, where, why, how? Well, no, go figure that one out yourself. Plenty of scholars try. The Ark of the Covenant, we're all so familiar with that. We've spoken about that on Ancient Aliens. Indiana Jones, of course, knows all about it. And the famous Vendel Jones, who was the actual biblical archaeologist, spent his life looking for the old Ark. Well, you know something? Connection. Because the Ark was based upon what appears to be ancient Egyptian religion, technology. I don't know. Where do we draw the line between one and the other? You see, we look at so many things of the past in light of mythology, but in reality, we better start looking at things in a little bit different light, because that which we think was symbolic myth might very well have had an actual foundation to it. Now, that's actually the point that Eric makes in Chariot of the Gods, and I do have to validate. And yet, we still have so much that we really need to explore from ancient sources. So again, from our Torah understanding, the way it was looked is this. It says very clearly in the Bible, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, Genesis 1:1. Genesis 1:2, and the world was tohu and bohu, which is usually translated as void and chaotic. But you go and read Isaiah, and Isaiah says God never created the world as being void and chaotic. If God didn't create the world that way, how did it get that way between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2? Something's missing between the two opening verses of the Bible. And this is not just a Jewish revelation. You can go into Christian Bible commentaries like the Dake's commentary. He even recognizes it as well. And we recognize something's missing in the biblical account. And it has been brought down in the oral teachings. Remember, not all teachings of the Bible were written down. We have an oral tradition that dates back literally to Moses himself. And it states that before God created our world, there were other worlds that were created and destroyed. Some interpret those to be spiritual worlds. Others understand them to be very literal. And again, a point that's covered on our program and others as well is that there does seem to be, in my opinion at least, overwhelming archaeological validation to show that there were very spiritually, technologically, highly advanced civilizations in prehistoric times. Now, my peers on Ancient Aliens, of course, want to say, yes, the ETs coming down. Our understanding, it wasn't them, it was us. And that it's us who have gone to the stars and coming back to visiting us. It's always about us. That's the way we've always understood it. That's why there's such an interest in us. I remember when Seth Shotak, the famous, SETI scientist, he was on one of the panels at our Santa Clarita Ancient Alien Conference, and he was saying, why would aliens be interested in us? We're so insignificant. There would be such radical differences between us and the like. And I couldn't hog the panel and respond. We had like 20 guys up there. But the point that I wanted to make to Seth was that, you're making the assumption of thinking that we've not had a previous history. And therefore, a new encounter would be something based upon a non-commonality. But in reality, these entities are us. They come from here. They look at us as their little brothers, as the like. And no, they're not out to enslave us and eat our brains or anything of the kind. But rather, like themselves, they want to see us evolve. And we have a very long history, and I write about this in my book, Aliens, Angels, and the Demons, about the high advanced technologies of the pre-Adamic civilizations. And somehow, somewhere, whatever happened, whether it was the destruction of Atlantis that we find in parallel teachings and the like. But the question now is, what happened to all that ancient technology? There does seem to be evidence of a prehistoric nuclear war, and Mohenjo-Daro and all the rest. And well, there does seem to be evidence and suggestions of this even in the ancient Torah traditions. Now, I'll even take it one step further. We were talking earlier about Noah and the flood. Well, how is it that the flood came about? It was understood that in Noah's day, and this is based upon like the books of Enoch and the like, that the technology that existed in the generations before the flood was at least as advanced as ours is today. It was a different technological base, apparently on some type of a crystal technology with, again, some type of a mental, telepathic component to it as well. And we're starting to do that today. Look at what's going on with the helmets that the pilots are now using in the F-35 aircraft. It's like mind control helmets.
I know,
pretty
right?
Radical.
And
they claim that this was the technology that they found on the ship from Roswell. For the record, the ship from Roswell was not from outer space. It was a local craft, and it was believed to be operated by those little gray guys who, in our Torah tradition, we call them the Shaya, and they're from inner Earth. They're not from outer space. That's another story here. Well, let's go back to our technology stuff here. We'll bring in inner Earth in a minute. Again, I cover all this in my book as well. So anyway, long story short, somehow, somewhere, something got messed up on the planet, and the people who were here, these pre-Adamites. Now, remember something. You don't pick this up in translation. There are different names for humanity that is recorded in the Bible. We discussed already two of them, Ishim, which means men, and, of course, Adam. Well, these were considered to be different races of human beings. The Ishim were here first. Many of them escaped to the stars. Many of them are believed to have taken shelter in inner Earth. Now, inner Earth, the whole hollow Earth theory, this is also found in our Torah tradition. And as such, this is believed that it is in inner Earth that is believed to have been the place of the Garden of Eden. the place where Cain and Abel were born. It is in inner earth. It is the sacred inner temple, literally, supposedly, right underneath Jerusalem. It's where the Ark of the Covenant was supposedly taken, where many of the, quote, lost tribes of Israel were lost, where supposedly the Messiah was born and lives and the like. You have all these different legends and ideas and beliefs about inner earth. And you find this same ideas coming back now, especially in our talk of extraterrestrials, in which we're saying that a lot of these UFOs are coming from inner earth.
Right.
This is fitting right with our Torah traditions. The Watchers, those angels who fell, that led to the corruption, which led to the flood. Well, what happened to them? Allegedly, God punished them. And the nature of God's punishment, well, gosh, if you think, I'll tell you this now, it's rather cruel. God said to these angels, you came down to rectify humanity. I'm going to punish you. You cannot return to heaven until you accomplish your task. And God charged these fallen angels to be the guardians over humanity and to guide human destiny, human history, to bring about that which we call in religion the Messianic age. And that it's these same fallen angels, if you will, we don't look at that in the negative light as it's understood and portrayed in Christianity, became who are called the Irin Kadosh, the Watchers that are referred to in the book of Daniel, chapter 4. And that the ways and means of their influence isn't political, social, or military. It's psychological. It's telepathic. And when the great king Nebuchadnezzar offended heaven, they toppled him, not with an army, not with lightning bolts from heaven, but by inflicting him psychologically with mental illness. Again, the telepathic connection through the back door of the mind.
Right.
That is their method of communication. So their ancient technologies are allegedly still with us to this very day. When the flood occurred, I'm sorry?
Let me jump in really quick. With all of the technical artifacts and others that are referenced, like, of course, the Ark is, what comes to mind first, but the True Cross or the Holy Grail, if any of these were revealed to the world, does that change things? Does the Ark change things?
Yeah, absolutely.
How so?
To understand something, the Ark of the Covenant wasn't just this old box, the likes of which we saw, Harrison Ford portraying in, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You remember that last scene? They opened up the Ark, and all of a sudden something comes out of it, and bam, everybody gets burned to a crisp.
Right.
Well, suppose that's the way it really worked. The Ark of the Covenant had some kind of a technology to it. We read in the book of Numbers that the two sons of Aaron tried to approach the Ark on the day that it was, for lack of a better word, activated. And a fire came forth from the Lord and burned them. Now, you can think of fire coming forth like in the movie from Steven Spielberg there. That's not the way it supposedly happened. It's that the two beams of fire came out from the Ark, entered their nostrils,
right,
and burned them from the inside. I don't know about you. That sounds like an arc of electricity that would have electrocuted them. Yeah, the Ark definitely had a technology to it. It was activated and interacted with the high priest, who wore special types of garments, one of which we call the Urim and Tumim. It's a symbol of one of the big collegiate schools up in the Northeast there. And this Urim and Tumim, I don't know how to translate it. I don't know if anybody does. But no one knows really what it is. There was something that was put inside the breastplate of the high priest.
Right.
He would practice certain types of a tonal technology, a sound technology, which would cultivate an altered state of consciousness, which at the same time caused these gemstones on his breastplate to vibrate. And they would literally, like in the old language, come alive. And they would start to make lights and sounds. And somehow, somewhere, all of this was activated with this mysterious Urim and Tumim. And it communicated with the Ark of the Covenant. And that somehow those little cherubim that was on top of the Ark somehow became alive and would move. And that somehow an entire, I don't know what to describe or how to describe it, and an entire scenario of communication occurred between the mind of the high priest, the sounds coming from his breastplate, movement from the Ark, and that this is how communication with God occurred. So there's some kind of an ancient technology going on here, far beyond the limitations of just a mere religious or spiritual experience. And all of this was taken away with the destruction of the first temple back in 586 BCE. And unlike in the movies, it wasn't just buried out in the desert somewhere. According to the record, it was taken, put away, the Ark essentially turned off, and all of this was taken to inner earth. And it's supposed to stay there in inner earth until that which we call the coming of the Messiah. Now, this gets interesting. I'm sure you're familiar with the Christian tradition as recorded in the book of Revelation that the Messiah is going to come, with an army out of the sky. And most people correlate that to the book of Zechariah, chapter 14, where it speaks of the big earthquake which rends the city of Jerusalem apart. Well, according to the ancient legend, the army of the, in quote, Messiah is not going to be coming from the sky. And if it did, that would be pretty cool. People would think it was an extraterrestrial invasion. But it's supposedly that this great earthquake is supposedly being caused by some kind of a sonar technology tearing apart the earth so that an army from inner earth is going to then come and conquer the surface. A little bit different understanding of the original messianic, shall we call it, invasion?
Right.
Because think about this. Forget the ETs landing on the White House lawn kind of thing. If all of a sudden the earth, I don't care if it's coming from inner earth, outer earth, another dimension, or wherever, you see a whole bunch of whatever coming, you're not going to say, oh, the Messiah is here, hallelujah. No, you're going to be freaking out saying, oh my God, we're being invaded. Because if the Messiah, I don't care who he is or what he is, I don't care what his name is, Mahdi, Jesus, Mashiach, who cares? If this entity, individual, whatever, comes with an army of angels, what do you think an angel looks like? These little sweetsy little statues that they sell in the Hallmark stores? Go read your Bible.
Well,
these entities are as extraterrestrial. Like they got multiple faces, they got wings, they're scary, they got claws. Right? You see an army of those coming, you tell me what you're going to be thinking.
Well, see, and this is the thing. We need to take a break right here. But here, for some reason, we have a shoot first, ask questions later mentality.
Yeah, well, you're going to start shooting first at someone who's got a higher technology than you. Well, think about what happens when you shoot at Superman.
That's a bad idea. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. And what a conversation. When we come back, we got to talk about the universe. Yeah, there's some questions I have for the rabbi. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com, dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
What a conversation tonight. Welcome back. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. And it's Sadok, Tzadok. And for all of you out there, it's with an S. And it was so funny earlier today when I had to ask. it was one of those things. I didn't want to make a mistake. I just Zadok, Rabbi, we need to talk about the universe here. So let's do that for a second.
All right. Which universe?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, let's just talk about the one that is around us now. Let's do that first. If we go with the religious side of this, which is fine. So if we take that aspect and God creating the universe and everything that is here, Alpha Centauri or another planet do they have the Torah, right? Is there?
Now that's a great question. All right, now understand when we say God created the universe. Understand that from the Torah point of view. Remember our first commandments? You have no image of God, right? We put no image or semblance of that. God's not a person. God's not a guy. It's not like the image you see in the Sistine Chapel or anything of the kind. Even God's name in the Bible, which they call Jehovah, it's not the real name, it is based on the 4 Hebrew letters Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's based upon the verb hoveh, which in Hebrew means to be. And it's actually in the passive verbal tense. When you take the prefix letter Yud and you add it to the base vowel, that's how you conjugate the verb. So if you would take the verb to be, hoveh, put the prefix Yud in front of it, it means active being, or being in action, or if you will, sentience, consciousness. That is what the name of God actually means. So God is not some kind of a guy who, just waved his magic wand and the universe came to be. Indeed, in the prophetic teachings, the entire concept of understanding creation is pretty similar to how today we understand the Big Bang and the concept of evolution over a process of, by our modern definition of time standard, billions of years, is completely in alignment with how we understand the 7 days of creation. Why on earth anyone thinks the 7 days of creation are to be measured like on our holy Rolex watch, that's the same exact time and understanding of the movement of time as we do today. Why on earth would anybody draw that conclusion? Biblical times, they never thought like that. Indeed, the book of Psalms says that the day of the Lord is 1,000 years. And you've had rabbis who have understood that the age of the universe is literally billions of years old. So when we talk about God creating the universe, we have to take that out of a mythological understanding and look towards science as being, if you will, a revelation of the reality of, in quote, how God did what God did. And again, we don't think of God as an aggrandized human being. The Bible makes it very clear God is both male and female. So therefore, from a Torah point of view, unlike, today, this is big political or social thing. Some people call God he, some people call God she. We call God God. God is he and she. We don't make any differences in that respect. So with regards to the universe, we believe that God created the universe in accordance to a general pattern. And the pattern is universal. And that universal pattern, for lack of a better word, is spiritual, or psychological maybe is a better word. So essentially, if we're going to meet ET, whether he be from Alpha Centauri or anywhere else, yes, they could be radically biologically different from ourselves. And the method of physical, audible communication, they might not have ears, they might not have mouths in which to communicate. But we will be able to communicate telepathically, mind to mind, because they will have minds just like we do. And being that they will have minds just like we do, we will find that there is a commonality between all sentient life forms everywhere, and that is the mind. Now, you mentioned Torah. Well, good old Mount Sinai and the like. The Torah is considered to be, if you will, a revelation. Well, okay, what's it a revelation for? A realignment of our planet with the universe, if you will, because we got out of sync with what happened in the Garden of Eden, which is another story, and that, in quote, out of sync didn't necessarily happen every place. But if the universe has all these multiple different expressions, that somehow, some way, we all must be connected. So this is the profound revelation. That which we call mind is the definition of our humanity. And therefore, we will find those with mind, otherwise we would call humans, everywhere. Whether it be Alpha Centauri, a different universe, a different galaxy, a different anything, anywhere, including what we call, those we call, angels. Mind to mind. Regardless of our physical forms, using the wise words of that great Rabbi Master Yoda from Star Wars, luminescent beings are we, not this crude matter, if you remember. Yes. And that's the truth of it. We call it our souls. You can call it your astral body. Call it whatever you want. That is the true nature of our humanity. It's energy. And that is something we share with whomever, whatever, wherever is out there. That is our true commonality. So right now, where we are today on Earth, our major struggle is to recognize that all of us, regardless of this ridiculous facades of differences between colors of skin or ethnicity, all of this ridiculously, paper-thin difference underlies the voluminous powers that unite us as a united planet. We're all one. There's no difference between any of us. We're all the human race. And even beyond that, we're part of the greater whole of the planet. When we can recognize this unity among ourselves, we're going to recognize that we're part of a greater unity in the universe as well. Yeah, that's what's coming. That's what we call the Messianic Age. And from our Torah point of view, that's the whole goal of everything that's all about.
So again, it would be cyclical then on every planet with intelligent life, in that they are going through the same cycles that we are, and there would be a Garden of Eden type of reality for every planet out there with intelligent life.
It's very possible, yeah. I haven't been to all the different planets out there, so I can't tell you what's going on in each and every one. But our human experience here on Earth most likely is not unique. And I'm talking about our psychological growth as a collective race. I don't think that we're so unique and different from the other races that are out there, regardless of whatever our biological differences may be. Psychologically, spiritually, mentally, telepathically, call it whatever, I think pretty much, yeah, we're all following in a same greater pattern, which is following some greater pattern of whole of the universe. That's what we seem to be experiencing.
I have an email here from one of our Jewish listeners out there, and he says that he's afraid to talk to his rabbi and ask him this question. He wants to ask you, so I'm going to do it now. He wants to know if, obviously, he smokes weed. He wants to know if pot is kosher.
All right. I'll tell you, I am an old school martial arts teacher, instructor, good old disciplined kind of guy, and I'm very, very much against the use of any kind of drugs. Now, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't take drugs. But for anyone, and I'll get religious now. My teachers in Jerusalem were some of the leading, masters of the prophetic and mystical school, and they had a very stern policy that anybody who used drugs they would never accept as a student, because they say that drugs like pot, because it has the hallucinogenic effect, affects brain chemistry, and therefore compromises, hinders, taints any kind of clarity in the mystical and or meditative experience. The essentially putting blinders or a cloud or a veil over it, making it very, very unreal. And they consider that to be very dangerous. So, yeah, I know that pot today is used for medicinal purposes in many different areas. I know people who use it for, glaucoma and the like. And, of course, we have now, I believe it's the CBD oil, which I've heard tremendous positive effects from it. But, again, they take out the THC from it and therefore making it viable. Okay, those kind of things I don't have a problem with. But the recreational usage as it's done today, I think, is extremely detrimental and harmful spiritually and should be avoided totally. Now, at the same time, let's go into traditions, shamanistic traditions, in which they use other types of mind-altering chemicals, such as ayahuasca. Well, you and I could just go to the store, make-believe store, if you will, and pick up ayahuasca and say, oh, let's go on a trip. Well, we're not going to get the same results that the shaman's going to get, because the shaman, like the rabbi, like the sheikh, like the priest, like the minister, we're well-trained clerics, each in our own field. And that shaman has years of training and experience in meditative practices and uses that ayahuasca in a very controlled environment with very precise, specific instructions, all of which are lacking with people who want to use these things recreationally. And that's the difference between a positive and a negative spiritual experience.
I have this question from one of my producers here, Renee, and this is, I'm just going to read it to you directly. Please ask the rabbi if he has an opinion on what transpired during Jesus's missing years from ages 12 to 30. For instance, is it possible that Jesus may have been off Earth, learning about nature, the nature of the universe, and the true spirituality from non-humans?
Okay. Jesus' missing years are only missing simply because the record of those years has not been included in the Christian canon. You can go into other records that claim to be from those days, which claim to also include different things. Was he off Earth? Well, we really don't have any evidence to suggest that that was the case. Remember, the aggrandizement of Jesus as the individual in the Christian tradition is far more than it is in the Jewish tradition. In our Jewish tradition, was just a good old Orthodox rabbi, not too dissimilar from me or my peers. I mean, he taught Torah and lived a religious Orthodox life, etc. So to think that he might have gone off Earth, well, no, we would not think in such a way. However, again, what we discussed before, that doesn't leave out the inner Earth connection. Because even to this day, there are places known in the Holy Land in which access to inner Earth is accessible. And it's very possible that there are those people who, have access to those entities who supposedly live down there and that communicate and learn with them. So is such a thing theoretically possible? Yeah, I guess so. We have no reason to think that, again, the historical Jesus had any kind of a connection based upon what we see from his teachings. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm the only Orthodox rabbi who has taught publicly the Christian Bible. On my website, koshertorah.com, I've taught the entire Gospel of Matthew from an Orthodox Jewish point of view. Not in any ways polemic to fight religion versus religion, but to help explain the actual Judaic and Torah values underlying Jesus' teachings. Again, build bridges between communities, unity, what's all about kind of stuff.
Sure.
So, yeah, we can see, I believe that the record should be clear that Jesus' spiritual teachings seem to show an association with the meditative prophetic school of which we've been talking about over, the course of our conversation. And most likely, those, in quote, missing years, he was either, working in daddy's shop up in the north, or most likely was in a good old traditional yeshiva, religious school of learning, very similar, if not exactly, Qumran, the Dead Sea Scroll folks, because we do see some type of a correlation between teachings. A man of his age at that time was either married with children or, very similar to today, in a school of religious learning. So most likely that is where the historical Yeshu was. And in those schools of learning, if he was indeed practicing the meditative traditions, then he would have learned this type of, if you will, astral or spiritual travel, which could have taken him to who knows where. So whether it was off-world or inner earth, those types of connections in a meditative way, as opposed to a technological or mechanical, transportation type way, very, very possible that could have been, simply because it was very common in the day with many of the practitioners of the day then as it is today.
I need some clarification, if you don't mind. I was baptized Catholic. My last name is Church, so I'm not hiding anything here, right? James Church. So, but for the world, when it comes to Jesus and the Jewish side of things, and then we have Christianity and Catholicism and who Jesus represents. Where is it when I hear people say things without a basis of knowledge? Well, the Jewish side of things does not believe in Jesus. He was not the Son of God. In some instances, I hear that there is a denial that Jesus ever existed, and there's this clash of ideas here. So from the Torah or the Kabbalah or the Jewish side of things, where does Jesus stand?
All right. The major issue is this. Number one, I don't believe in fighting or arguing over who is right or who is wrong, simply because people have different ideas and different beliefs. And at least from my point of view, I respect those differences. So let's go into the book of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, the Word was God. Well, go back, look at your Septuagint from the Greek, and look at what the original Hebrew word would have been. In the beginning was the Torah, and the Torah was with God, and the Torah was God. Now, being that the Torah is the Word of God, to think that the Word of God and God are kind of like connected, okay, that makes sense. Now we have a Judaic teaching. That's something that in the mystical Judaism is very, very well known. Many people have heard of what's called the mystical Bible, the Zohar. Well, in the book of the Zohar, in the portion called Ekev, page 73a, it states very clearly that God and His Word, the Torah, are one. So now, let's go skip ahead in John chapter 1. I think it's verse 27. I'm an Orthodox rabbi quoting here the Christian Bible, so if I make a mistake on a verse, you'll have to forgive me for that. It says, and the Word became flesh and dwelled among us. So your Christian will say, there you go. The Word of God becomes flesh. But yes, remember, we're dealing with a Jewish concept. And that Jewish concept was understood to be non-exclusive. Essentially, anyone who surrenders to God, lives by the Word of God, teaches the Word of God, becomes, if you will, like the living Word, becomes like a living Torah, becomes a conduit, becomes a messenger, becomes an angel for the Lord. So when we say that the Word of God becomes flesh and dwells among us, it could be applied to any of us who truly devote our lives and dedicate our service to God. It was never understood in a Judaic context to be exclusive. And we believe that that's exactly how John meant it to be with regards to his, adoration for his rabbi, who was Jesus. So of course, what I just said is not the Christian understanding of things. I'm certainly not saying that it is. But I'm trying to help Christians understand that this is the Jewish way. And Christians are very, very strict on theology and dogma and doctrine, in which we Jews are not. In our Jewish tradition, we're not so much concerned about what people believe. We're more concerned about what people do. And I think you'll find that echoed even in Jesus' own teachings. Very famous parable when he said, on Judgment Day, he's going to separate, the sheep from the goats. He says, blessed are you. Why? Because when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me the drink. When I was naked, you clothed me. And then the people said, when did we ever do this for you, O Lord? And Jesus said, whenever you did it for the one littlest of my people, my brethren, it was as if you did it for me. That seems to be the criteria of judgment. That's obviously, very clearly, the Jewish way of understanding things. There's never a theology test, a doctrine test at the pearly gates. St. Peter's not up there, questioning you on your catechism. The question of you, how did you serve God? And that's, again, is our Judaic way of understanding things. So in our Jewish way, we read the original texts that have become now Christian and recognize their Jewish origins. In many of the teachings of the Sermon on the Mount and everything else, like I said, I have a free course, 17 hours of class, I believe, from the Gospel of Matthew, in which I try to build these bridges between the communities. I'm most certainly not out to try to convince anyone of anything, certainly not try to convert anybody to anything, but just to build the bridges so that people can see there's a different understanding of things, with the hope that maybe they can come and respect it, as opposed to trying to argue and fight as to what Isaiah 7:14 or Isaiah 53 really means. Well, I'll tell you, it really means different things to different people. That's just the way it is. So rather than try to argue about the black and white reality of things, we should recognize things are rather quantum in nature, just like science, multiple different ways of perception.
I knew that we would run out of time tonight, so I'm going to ask you, is it okay if we do a little overtime? We go through this commercial and bring you back and wrap things up?
Sure.
Yeah, let's keep
this going.
Minutes. Yeah, okay. I'm going to listen, but there's just too much left on the table here, so I want to wrap up properly. So let's just take a quick break, and I understand it's very early in the morning over there in Paris. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Rabbi Ariel Bar-Zadok. Great conversation, fascinating. We're going to pick this up where we're leaving off right now and have a proper goodbye. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
You are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and my family is safe because of Numana Emergency Food Storage. Just go to the Numana banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code Jimmy10.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. An amazing conversation tonight with our guest, Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. And I didn't want to leave things off where we were. I knew that we were going to run out of time, so I wanted to get a couple of comments in. And Rabbi, you mentioned earlier martial arts, and I just wanted to relay this to you. When you mentioned it, this memory popped in my head. I have a friend who's a entertainment attorney and movie producer, and he took me. We were doing some work at his synagogue. Audio visual stuff, and he takes me to the ginormous synagogue here in Los Angeles, and we were going down downstairs, multiple layers deep. But anyway, and we passed this lofted area, and I looked down into this room. It's a meeting. It's big. It's a meeting room. But I looked down, and there is literally a couple of hundred young, I'm going to say 5 years old, 6 years old, Jewish kids in a martial arts class, right? And I went, what's going on? And he goes, man, we teach self-defense here, man. That's what we do. And out of all of my memories from that experience being in this giant synagogue, that's the one thing that I've never forgotten. It was an amazing thing to see. So many down there focused and getting taught martial arts. It was something that I did not expect.
Well, I've been a student of martial arts literally since I was a youngster like that. But to me, it's far more than just, punching, kicking, self-defense. I mean, I teach Krav Maga. It was really, military style of self-defense. But for me, martial arts is a movement and flow of health, spiritual and physical, of the movement and flow of energy, and it's a natural complement our biblical traditions, and it's part and parcel of my life. And it's what I encourage others, and I teach others to, embrace it in their lives as well.
It was amazing to see. I just stood there for a few minutes and took it all in. They were so focused. It was absolutely incredible. Okay, now the last question of the night, and it's a very serious one, and I like to ask all of our guests this question, which is this: if you had the opportunity to go off planet, and you were invited, would you go?
Hell yeah. My wife and I would be the first ones. But we just got to make sure that the ship we get on, to serve man, make sure it's not a cookbook. Remember that old Rod Serling Twilight Zone episode?
It's really funny that you say that, because if I have one thing that I need to make sure of, is I've got to make sure that the food is good, and you want to make sure that it's the opposite of that, right?
Yeah, you better want to make sure you're not the food.
You know
what? I look at this universe as being all of God's children, right? You and I are brothers. Everyone in the audience, we're all family, and I would look forward to it. I'd consider it an honor to meet the rest of our family, whoever is out there, try to build bridges and things like that. And yeah, I would think that'd be really cool.
Do you think, just to dovetail one question on the end of that, because of Ancient Aliens and other programming like it, and certainly radio programs like this and Coast to Coast, the disclosure question seems to be closer than ever, that we are right on the edge of I was going to say revelation, right?
I know everybody wants to say that the governments are going to be coming forward sooner or later, and they're going to say, yes, we have an announcement to make. Well, don't go holding your breath.
And why do you say
our
that?
Governments? I will just tell you, our governments know a whole lot more than they're ever not only going to reveal, but what they can reveal. People in the religious world have been knowing these things for the longest time. And though our governments are secular, they still listen to what the religious, all religions have had to say, because it's the members of the religions, through our meditative, mystical, is how we make communications, and how we've always made communications. And people in government know this. They've taken advantage of this, since ancient times. Nothing new here. Our governments know not too little, they know too much. And they recognize that, some things you just cannot release to the public, because the public just can't handle the truth in many cases. But then again, it doesn't mean that you have to, put a clamp down on everything as well. Let nature take its course, and nature indeed will take its course. And the day will come that somehow, somewhere, whether or not government is involved, a revelation is going to be clear. And yeah, we wait for that day. That's what we work for. So no, I'm not waiting or looking for, an announcement coming out of the United Nations or Washington or Moscow or Beijing, ET has landed, nanu kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think the revelation is going to come from another place. It's going to come from us.
Well, the preconceived aspect of this was always that if it is exposed that religions will collapse, the economy is going to collapse, Wall Street's going to go down, there's going to be anarchy in the streets, and the world won't be able to handle the truth. Well, last year, with what was announced with the New York Times, then covered by CNN and Fox and BBC and all the major news outlets about the Pentagon's program and the release of these videos, a strange thing didn't happen, Rabbi. The Vatican didn't burn down. Right? Jerusalem is still there. Religions didn't collapse. And I think that we handled that news pretty well, don't you?
Okay. Now, Jimmy, let's have two scenarios. Number one, out there, far away from us, we found somebody out there. Okay, cool. That's not really going to affect the price of gas. It's not going to affect what's going on. Now let's change the scenario. Oh, by the way, they're here. They've always been here. They're amongst us now. They're watching. They're everywhere. They're in control. Now, if that's your scenario, now people can start to freak out.
Well, I would.
Yeah. Okay?
Yes.
So, you want to talk again, the Bible, Book of Daniel, chapter 4, the Watchers, they're in charge and stuff like that. That seems to be the scenario more than, some guys out there on a planet far, far, far away from us. So, like I said, maybe sometimes our governments might know a little bit too much. So you want to talk about disclosure. The question of disclosure is not, is there life in outer space, but rather, where is this life from outer space? What are they doing with us?
You're going to be out.
That might be too frightening a question to answer.
You're going to be out here in Los Angeles next month for the Conscious Life Expo?
Yep. We're going to be out there for Conscious Life, absolutely. Back out again in June for Ancient Aliens Conference.
And what are you going to...
Yeah, we'll be out there.
What are you going to speak about at Conscious Life?
I think they have me speaking on my book, Aliens, Angels, and Demons, which is kind of going to... my whole book is about pretty much the things that we've discussed on the show right now. And I will discuss those things. I always take questions and answers from the audience. And, we let the chat go where it goes. And we see where it can. And I try to, again, bring information to people that they can then take with them and draw their own conclusions. That's what it's all about.
I look forward to having you on my panel on Friday night with Eric Von Daniken. That is going to be an amazing event. I really look forward to hanging out with you at Conscious Life Expo and, of course, Alien Con right here in Los Angeles. This time around at the LA Convention Center downtown. Yep. That's a huge event.
Looking forward to it.
And safe travels out there. I know that you're in Paris now, but we'll see you in just a few short weeks. I can't believe it. And you'll be right here in Los Angeles with us at the Conscious Life Expo. Safe travels, Rabbi. Thank you so much. Great conversation.
Thanks, Jimmy. God bless. Take care.
Right on. Thank you so much. And what a great conversation. Now, you can go to the Rabbi's website. It is koshertorah.com. The links are at jimmychurchradio.com, and everything that you need is right there. I am going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'll see if I can crack open these phone lines, and I'll take a couple of calls before the end of the night. And this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you so much, Rabbi Ariel Bar Saduk, koshertorah.com. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Thank you, Rabbi.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on jimmychurchradio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants months.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So, are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I want to thank the Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. Great conversation tonight. Man, oh man. I was taking notes. All right, I've got time for a couple of quick phone calls. And so let's go ahead and do this really quick. Let's go up to San Francisco. You are up on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live. Okay, okay, you are live. Are you there?
Hello?
Yes, you're live.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Jimmy. This is Betzel McGee. I'm Kelly Sullivan Walden student.
Oh, okay. How are you, man?
Good. I don't suppose the rabbi is still on, is he?
No.
Yeah. Man. Would it be all right if I asked my question? Maybe you could hear it? Or
he's in Paris right now. It's you know what time it is right now in Paris? It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and he got up at 3 o'clock to do this show. So if I'm the good rabbi right now, I'm in bed. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, what's the question?
Okay, so the question I had in the Art Scroll Ultra Orthodox Siddur, which is the Jewish prayer book. There is a specific prayer for the festival of Sukkot, and at the closing of Sukkot, basically the prayer says that in the Messianic age, the Messiah will come and he will slay the Leviathan, and he will feed the flesh of the fish to the children of the desert, and we will all feast underneath the sukkah, which is in a canopy or enclosure, of the Leviathan. And what I was wanting to know is if this was a metaphor for the time-space fabric of reality that the Messiah would slay.
Yeah, you see, you know what? But you, and I read your question when you posted it. Okay, I did.
Uh-huh.
When I read that, I see the same things that you do. Right? There seems to be a knowledge of math, of sciences, of physics, of the possibility of a parallel world. I see all of that, and it's just now, is that, and I'm going to throw this back to you, is it because we have knowledge of, how do I say this, that we have knowledge of the sciences and of technology today that we didn't have in the past? Is it because we look at it a little bit differently, or you know that's not what they meant, but because of our knowledge today of science, that's what we're reading into it? Or is it that they had a genuine grasp on physics and other realities? So I'm going to ask you, what is it that you think is going on?
Well, because I thought a lot about this. And when I was going through the process of trying to convert into Judaism, the rabbi that I studied under, you know, because I talked about a kashrut, which is kosher dieting, and, you know, kosher dieting during the Messianic age. And she said something that just absolutely shocked me. She said that during the Messianic age, the fundamental nature of reality will change, and that we will no longer have to observe kosher dieting, as, you know, our bodies will be different and stuff like that. Absolutely floored me. I was not expecting that answer. And so I'm wondering, because in the Zohar, they talk about like the scales of the Leviathan being made out of sapphire, made out of diamonds.
Right.
And my personal, I guess, conclusion was that it was similar to how Einstein described the like square spaces of space-time with the theory of relativity.
Right.
And that this sukkah, this covering of the Leviathan, was a metaphor. There's also something too really interesting. She told me that in Genesis, where it talks about darkness being upon the face of the deep, the word tahom, which was darkness, was a tip of the hat nod to Tiamat. That the rabbinical authorities at that time, they couldn't come out and say, well, this corresponds with Tiamat because it was in rabbinical tradition, it was considered a pagan deity from like Samaria. But they were kind of giving the nod of the hat to, well, yeah, we picked this up from a tale and incorporated it into the Torah.
Yeah, and this is what's really trippy for me. It says to me that, and if we are going back, 1,000 BC, when a lot of this was written in the Old Testament, 500 BC, 1,000 BC, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it suggests that we are not talking about some kind of Neolithic or Stone Age man mentality here, that they had a real grasp on the sciences. I mean, a real, genuine, fundamental grasp on this. That's the only thing that I can take from this. And we are seriously not giving credit where credit is due. And it does suggest a higher technology civilization. There's no question about that. So
You want to hear something mind-blowing?
I've got one. Now, I've got 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Give it to me.
Okay. In the Talmud, it talks about the original tablets that Moses received as the law of the 10 Commandments. It said that it was actually, the tablets were pure white sapphire, and the words of the letters spun around like a hologram within the Torah, or within the 10 Commandments. And there's a rabbinical reference to the Ark of the Covenant that God gave Noah a book that was given to Adam and Eve that was covered in sapphires, that was a light, quote unquote, for the ark that he used to navigate the ark through the waters. And that's from the rabbinical sage Rashi.
Yeah, and where does this come from? They weren't watching science fiction films.
Right. Rashi was a rabbi around 1000 AD in France.
where does this, where do these ideas come from? And I'll say it over and over again. It is based on experience. That's the only thing that we can draw
technology.
From. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm going to grab one more phone call before I get out of here. But that was a great,
Thanks,
great
Jimmy.
phone call. Thank you
Love
so
you guys.
much. Love you right back. That's a great phone call right there. Let's go to area code 470. You're up next on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
My name is Samuel Mixon.
Hi, Samuel.
Hey. So I have a little story for you.
Okay.
In 2015, in fact, June 18th, 2015, I decided to engage in the CE5 protocols. And what happened was the most crazy thing I've ever experienced. I go into this meditative state, and then I see, at the end of like this 15-minute period, I end up seeing this whitish, grayish, it looked like a ball, but I thought it was the forehead of some type of being. And then I ask, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?" And then after that, I get up, and then I go to my computer, and then I go to the Google search, and then I type in these numbers. It's like 14.72, blah, 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 blah. It's like 8 numbers, and then north, and then 32 point something, something, blah, 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 like another 8 numbers east. And then I press enter. I'm like, okay, here we go. But then I start looking for it on Google Earth. And then it says Sudan, Africa. So I'm like, okay, it must mean nothing. Sudan, Africa, whatever. But then the next day I go to my friend's house, and then I'm asking, I tell him about this experience. And I'm like, hey, I showed him, what I experienced, or I told him what I experienced. He's like, oh, I don't know, man. And then I end up looking up, like, the beings that I was trying to contact. And I told him, I was like, hey, I was trying to contact the Arcturian beings. And then he's like, oh, well, I don't know. And then so I basically looked up on Google the Arcturian beings, or Arcturus, or whatever, and Arcturian beings. And then previously, before I had done that, I looked up like where these coordinates led me, and it said boots, B in capital letters, BOOTES. I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, but, really?
Yeah. And so then, after I had got those coordinates, I got those boots. And so I looked up Arcturian, and then I was reading this description to him, and I'm like, it's like the Arcturians are from the Boots constellation.
Yes, what was your name again? Hold on, what was your name?
Samuel Mixon.
Hey, Samuel, this is a fascinating experience, and I want to hear more about this. And on Thursday night, I want you to call me back, and let's continue this, because I'm literally going to be signed off of the network in about 20 seconds. So as soon as you said boots, I knew where this was going next. I want to hear the entire story. So promise me that you'll call me back, Samuel, on Thursday night, and I want to hear the whole thing. Deal?
What time?
We start the show at 7 p.m. All right?
All right, cool.
Okay? Enjoy the rest of your night. And that is an amazing, amazing phone call. Thank you so much, Samuel.
Thank you.
Thank you. I knew it. Right when he said boots, I knew that is what I'm talking about. I want to hear the rest of it, and then hopefully Samuel will call us back on Thursday, and we'll get the entire story. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Thank you to Rabbi Ariel Bar Zadok. His website is koshertorah.com. This broadcast only copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, John Burroughs, Rendlesham, The Last Word. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, right here, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.